Well, hey everyone, it's Marcus and welcome to more Zooming in the Jungle Room. I am really fortunate today because I am speaking to one of my childhood idols. I'm zooming all the way back to Neighbours days. Please welcome everybody, Craig McLachlan. Craig, how are you?
Marcus, my darling, darling man, I'm so thrilled to be in your jungle room.
Well, thank you.
If I'd given it a little more thought and I had a little more time this morning, I would have worn something appropriate for the jungle room, like maybe just a loincloth. You know,
Be my
given
Tarzan.
it my best Tarzan. It's lovely to see
I
you, my
love it.
friend.
So good to see you. And I know that you love your garden because you do quite a lot of video shout outs in your garden, trimming the hedges, etc. So I know you're a plant guy. Um, hey, oh my goodness. I mean, what an illustrious career. Neighbours, like we said, home and away, and it just went on and on and on. But McLeod's daughters, etc. But you know what? It all started, well, and there were sons and daughters before Neighbours. See, I've done my homework, my friends.
Yeah.
In fact, I used to watch Sons and Daughters with my mother way back. But then obviously when Neighbours happened, your career took off. Wow. Do you remember those heady days?
Oh, look, and thank you. You should be my publicist. In some respects, Marcus, it was like it was just yesterday. Like if I'm hanging out with an old friend and we're chatting about those times, dare I say it, the mid to late 80s.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, it really does seem like just yesterday. Of course, the reality is here we are in, late 2024 and the 80s are way, way, way back in that other century, but it was such a magical time, Marcus. And um, as you and your dear mum know, before Neighbours, I did just a couple of episodes on Sons and Daughters. But here's the thing about life, and you and I were talking off air about how unexpected life can be. I was working in a band at the time, Sons and Daughters was in production, young Craigie McLachlan with hair like yours. I was just working in a bunch of club and pub bands back east here. I had, and if you were if you were playing in a working sort of covers band, that paid okay. Any sort of original band, of course, that was tough. And I would sort of supplement my club band stuff by working the shifts no one wanted to work at the Sydney Marble Bar. Now, some of our friends who remember the Sydney Marble Bar in the 80s.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, talk about a wild time in the old jungle. But anyway, I had this wonderful agent who said, "Look, there's an opportunity." And at that point, Marcus, I'd done a brief um, couple of scenes on young doctors in the early 80s. But other than that, I'd done some television commercials and that was it.
Yep.
I was just a gigging musician. I didn't have any formal acting training, but my agent said, "Look, there's this great little character on Sons and Daughters. Do you want to go in and read for it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, why not? You never know.
Yeah.
You won't know if you don't have a go." So went in, was lucky enough to get the part. My scenes were with a gal, a Kiwi actress, Rima Tiwiata, who remains a dear friend to this day. We had such a good time together. But the director of that episode, or those couple of episodes of Sons and Daughters, was part of the Grundy family. And just for our youngsters, a little history. Neighbours was originally devised and produced by Grundy Television. Grundy was founded by Reg Grundy.
Yeah.
Now, anyone who wants to make a joke about that being slang for underpants, well, get that out of your system right now, and we'll move forward. But the guy who directed those episodes of Sons and Daughters just happened to mention to the producers of this new show, Neighbours, oh, I had this young guy come in the other day. He's actually a guitar player or a piano player or something. Anyway, he works in bands. And he came in and he was wonderful. Alistair Smart was the director's name. God rest your soul, Alistair, and thank you, mate. So he put in a word for me. So suddenly, and again, another history lesson for some of the casual Neighbours observers, not the hardcore fans. Neighbours originally screened on one network. It died a death. It was picked up by another commercial network and sort of there was a fellow who worked at Network 10 back in the day who just believed with a little bit of tweaking in casting and in script, whatever, they could have a hit on their hands. And it turned out he was right. But so some months down the track, Marcus, I just played, I think it was I played a gig on a Thursday night, just a club gig. I can't remember who the singer was, but tie a yellow ribbon round that old oak tree. It's been 3, and I'm in the background giving it all. Next day, I wake up late. It had been a late night, and my beautiful agent at the time, Leela, rings up and goes, "Hey, Grundys want to see you for another project." And I'm thinking, "Oh, great, maybe I'll get another day's filming." Yeah, fantastic. What is it? And she goes, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "No." And she goes, "Well, maybe you should." I said, "Really?" She goes, "Yes, because they want to see you for Neighbours. You know Neighbours." And I went, "What's that?" I didn't know what it was. I was working nights. I wasn't home late afternoon or early evenings whenever Neighbours was on, whatever time it aired back then. I think it might have been 7 o'clock back in the day. But anyway, I said, no idea. She went, "You must be the only person in the country who doesn't know what it is. Haven't you heard of, Scott and Charlene?" And I went, "No." She said, "Well, you'll have to watch an episode tonight." I said, "I can't. I'm doing like the triple graveyard shift at the Marble Bar." I said, I'll make sure I watch it on Monday." She goes, "It'll be too late. You've got an audition first thing Monday morning."
Wow.
And Marcus, I remember walking into the old Grundy headquarters in Artarmon, which is on the north side of the harbour here in Sydney. Mr. Tie Yellow Ribbon around the old oak tree guitar player. I walk in and every single person sitting in the waiting room was a familiar face off the telly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I walk in and I go, I remember hearing young doctors, "Oh God, he's even better looking in real life. He was in Restless Years." Oh, that's a Sons and Daughters guy. And on and on and on and on. And I'm like, insert whatever word you want. What the am I doing here? Because these are all experienced guys.
Yeah.
So once I was called in, and I'm thinking, I have no camera technique. I don't know anything technical about what's required in filming the television series. I went in. The two producers were really, really sweet, funny guys. And I could determine pretty quickly, and we became great friends ultimately down the track. But, they were two flamboyant, up for a laugh gay guys. So I did what any unknown, green, inexperienced guy from the North Coast would do. I just flirted with them and made them laugh, and it was such a wonderful session. in the end, we filmed the scenes, and I'm sure the scenes were probably passable. Do you know what I mean? But we just got on so famously, and we had such a laugh that I walked out and thought, if nothing else, um, I've met these guys maybe, years down the track or something when I'm a bit more experienced or whatever, something will come along. Um, but I thought it was a great meeting to have.
Yeah.
Not thinking for a second, my dear Marcus, that I would get a phone call the very next day
Yep.
saying, I don't know what you did in that audition, but you need to do more of that because it's you, Henry. And I
Wow.
was just like,
Ah.
yeah. And there are so many more stories I could share about my time joining, but that was how it started. And it was just the most, look, I know someone was asking me the other day, Neighbours was obviously eventually cancelled by, was it Channel 10 still had it, I guess.
Yeah.
And of course, it's been rebooted. I haven't seen any of the rebooted Neighbours, but Marcus, you would remember, your dear mum would remember that period of the show from sort of the mid to late 80s to maybe 1990-ish. That period, if you like, the golden period with Scott and Charlene and Henry
Hey,
and
super
Mike. We had
great. Yeah.
we had Des and Daphne, remember?
All of them. Mrs. Mangles, Bouncer.
Mrs.
The list went on.
Oh, yeah. And can I just say, um, one of my best friendships on that show was with Vivian Gray, who played
Mrs.
Mrs. Mangle.
Yeah. Yeah.
She did the whole looking down the nose busybody
Oh,
um,
love,
you know,
love.
thing so well. But that was just a credit to her
Oh,
as an actor.
yep.
But her sense of humor, Marcus, was so sly and off the wall
I
and
can imagine.
unexpected.
Um,
She had nicknames for me that I just can't share on the air, that were hilarious. She was a
oh,
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful gal. But that period of the show was magical,
I was a massive
magical.
fan of Anne Charleston as well and playing Madge. Incredible. But
Mm.
do you remember? I mean, of course, you're going to remember this because you were in it. But do you remember the Neighbours supergroup? Stephen Dennis was in it. Guy Pearce was in it. You were obviously in it. And I think Des was in it as well. I can't remember Des's real name. But
Paul Keen.
that's right.
Paul Keen.
That was iconic. Remember that? I mean, I don't know how long that lasted, but you did a good few couple of gigs. What a blast. I mean, obviously, that was a time where, pop, soap stars were turning into pop stars majorly. And I don't know if anyone's heard of Kylie Minogue, but she did all right out of it. Um, um,
I vaguely, yeah, I vaguely remember she had a small part in Neighbours.
she did a song,
Look,
Locomotion or something, I think, way back.
yeah,
But
yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
we need to move on because I've only got the budget version of Zoom and it's going to cut out in about 10 minutes. And we
Oh
have
God, that's my fault because you know me, I could talk under 600 foot of wet cement.
because we've got something really exciting. You are coming back to Adelaide. We haven't seen you perform in Adelaide for a little bit now. And you're coming back excitedly. You're going to be playing, I've got my wrong sheet, there it is there. You're going to be playing Her Majesty's Theatre on the 22nd of February with the ABBA Choir with your wife, Vanessa Scammell.
Yes,
It's going to
we're
be
coming to
fantastic.
Adelaide.
Tell us about the show.
We
What can we expect?
well, um, firstly, we're so excited to be coming back. For many years, I had such a love affair with Adelaide, South Australia. To be coming back is in itself just so exciting for me, for us, and to be doing something like this. You know, the ABBA Choir started as an idea. A producer friend of ours rang and basically said, "Hey, what do you guys think about getting, 1,000 or more people in a room and actually teaching them in sort of proper three-part harmony a favorite ABBA song?" And we were like, so it's just us, and we're actually, my immediate thought was any excuse to frock up. I'm thinking mid-70s, I'm thinking Saturns, platforms, you name it.
Yes.
Nessa similarly was like, "Oh, can you imagine what we could wear?" Then I just thought, Marcus, for me, to come back and do something, it has to be fun. It's got to be joyous. And what really excited me about this is Vanessa and I hadn't done anything together on stage since I hosted one of the Adelaide Cabaret festivals.
I remember
Must have
that.
been back in 2013 or so,
Yeah.
when Kate Soberano, I think, was still curating. Anyway, we had a great. I did the two official balls. Vanessa and I had such a great time. Here's an opportunity for us to do something on stage again. But the thing that really excited me, Marcus, and you kind of know the performer I am, it was an opportunity. Yes, Vanessa and I are frocked up when we're on stage. There's a lot of stuff going on outside of the song that we all learn together and that we perform together as a massive choir at the end of the night.
Oh.
But for me, it was all about the audience, the attendees, the people coming along. Marcus, they're the stars of the show.
How fun.
They are the stars of the show. And I know there's some material online now, because we tried it out up in Brisbane a few weeks ago.
Yep.
The audience are the stars,
Oh,
and Vanessa and I just reveled and delighted in their energy, their enthusiasm. Do you know what? I joked very early on in Brisbane the other week. Vanessa and I had orchestrated a little overture. I'd arranged an overture. It has all sorts of ABBA favorites in it, but it's just a musical thing. And it's just Nessa and I on stage, but the sound is big.
I love it.
The audience is singing every word to the little snippets we're already playing in the overture. And I turned to Nessa and I just went, "Jesus, this is going to be a really short show." They know all the stuff already. It was so much fun, Marcus. So we were hoping the availability on this particular wonderful theatre up in Brisbane, the Fortitude Music Hall, we could only get, believe it or not, a Sunday afternoon. We couldn't get a Friday night, end of the working week. We couldn't get a Saturday night. But we went, well, let's do a Sunday anyway. If we get a few hundred people in who just want to have a great time, fantastic. Well, the place was rammed. We had to hold a best and dressed competition midway through the show because people had gone to so much effort to look. It was like we jumped into the TARDIS and gone back to 1975.
I love it.
This venue. I urge anyone, if you're thinking about coming along, you can go on and you'll find ABBA Choir, on the Interdoodah
I will
and
put
have a look.
definitely.
So it's just the emphasis is on a good time.
Yep.
Frock up, platforms, find your 70s eyeshadow and just come and it really rocks. It's a really, really good night.
I am so looking forward to it. It's in my calendar already. Like we said,
Oh, God bless you.
Adelaide Choir, the 22nd of February 2025 at Her Majesty's Theatre. Now, I don't know if you've been to Her Majesty's Theatre recently, Craig, but it's obviously had a massive refurbishment, a massive big facelift over the course of the last, I think it's been 3-4 years now. So you are going to be in love with the place. Amazing.
Oh,
Hey,
I can't wait to see it.
another ABBA question for you. What would your
Yep.
favorite ABBA song be?
Oh, Marcus, that is such a hard question. Do you
This-
know
Yes. All
in
right.
in the mid 70s,
Uh-huh.
so in the mid 70s, I was about 10 years old, and I can remember seeing ABBA for the first time on television. And can you hear that?
I certainly can.
You've been cheating on me since I don't know when. And I remember sitting there watching. So I made up my mind and made my speech. The costumes, everything.
Oh
The
my God.
girls, beautiful. They had a guitarist, Bjorn, so that won me over instantly. But I remember within my soul this bit. Just one look and I can hear a bell ring. One more look. And I remember thinking, not only are they pretty and poppy, they totally rock. So probably off the top of my head, Mamma Mia holds a special place in my heart because it was the first thing I saw. Can you imagine a 10-year-old going into his guitar teacher that week and going, Mr. Warren, could you teach me a song called Mamma Mia? And at that point, I was learning songs like Rock My Soul in the Bosom of Abraham. And he's like, well, do you know what? We'll get onto Mamma Mia eventually. I couldn't wait though. So I convinced Mum to buy me the album. And I'd sit and drop the needle on the vinyl. That's right, kids. Although vinyl's making a comeback, isn't it?
It certainly
And
is.
I'd sit there and I'd be like, working it out. I can
Yeah.
remember my mum coming home from golf one day and I said, Mum, check this out. Just one look and I can hear a bell ring. One more. And she's like, did you learn that off the record? I said, yes, Mum. She's like, well, maybe we're not wasting our money.
I freaking love it. Craig, I could literally talk to you for hours. We have got so many more stories. Maybe there should be a part two to this Zoom, because we are about to run out of time. I've literally got a minute.
Oh,
You know what? I just want to say welcome back to Adelaide very soon, and welcome back to the Adelaide stage. And I cannot wait to hang out. Let's go and do a coffee, all right?
that'd be great. I'd love that.
But in the meantime, what I would like to also do, I want to invite you onto my 5AA show, and talk to my 5AA listeners about the ABBA show as well. So we'll hook that up in the next couple of Sundays. And yeah, let's have
Fantastic.
fun.
Yeah, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you, my friend. So good. It's so great to see you laughing and happy and positive. And you know what? Let's get joyous with ABBA Choir. Woohoo! Thanks so much, my friends. Be kind, be safe, and be fabulous always.
I'll see you soon, my darling man.